Most creative people fail at producing their creative product and monetizing it, right? So your default position, if you're a creative person, is you're going to fail. And that's because it's hard to come up with something new, and it's hard to present it to the market at the right time, and it's hard to market it. Like, those things are really, really difficult. And so what successful entrepreneurs do is they just keep doing it over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And eventually, if they're fortunate, one of their ideas happens to hit the right place at the right time. Even if your idea is good, that doesn't mean it will be successful. There's so many things that have to be taken into account. So this is partly why persistence, and that's part of conscientiousness, is so useful. It's like persistence is helpful because it enables you to run many, many experiments. And you need to know that the baseline is failure. You know, it's important because otherwise you'll blame that on yourself. You know, and some of that's useful because there's probably some things that you could improve about yourself, but it's very difficult to go from 0 to 1. You know?
But the game of entrepreneurship is so ugly that if people actually knew how ugly it was up front, very few would even do it. It's very ugly. It's very lonely. It's very frustrating. It exploits you at the highest level. You know, in the world of business, you don't just have one or two weaknesses. Imagine all of a sudden one day, 50 weaknesses are exposed, all at the same time. And everybody tells you, because it's you. Who wants that? No one wants that. And imagine a game where you always have to recreate yourself or else you lose. Like, let me put it to you this way. It's like working out, but you can't take a day off. You know how you work at least you got like a few days off to have your, regroup and all that stuff. For the first 2 to 5 years, if you look the other way just because you just made $1 million in a month and you start getting very cocky or arrogant, boom, you're wiped out. That's all it takes. It's a subtle look away to get knocked out. Why do you want to be an entrepreneur? And the answer has to be very crystal clear. It's not just because, don't let the lifestyle fool you. I mean, it takes a lot of work. And you have to ask yourself the question, are you really willing to go through it? If yes, Chris, here's the one thing I do advise to apply to everybody. I think everybody ought to run a part-time business. Affiliate marketing, great. Sell products on the side, garage, whatever it is. Get your real estate license, sell real estate on the side. Get an insurance license, sell insurance on the side, and maintain your job. And put 10 or 15 hours into it. I think everybody ought to do it and can do it. Everybody. So, but the world of entrepreneurs, multidimensional. At what level do you want to go? Do you want to go building a business doing 50 grand a year? Great, go do it. Everybody ought to do it. Do you want to build a business doing $1 million a year? Well, maybe not everybody can. You can build $1 million a year business. 10 million is the interesting number because very few get to the 10 million. 1 of 5, a lot of people get stuck to 1 of 5. 10 is, difficult. Then from 10, do you want to do $100 million a year? Do you want to get to $1 billion? I mean, the game changes at that point, right? But the more clear you are on your outcome of everything you do in life, kids, wife, business, career, friendship, spiritual, exercise, the more clear those outcomes are, the more fluid the action is going to be taken because you know why you're doing it. And so, yes, I think today social media fools the reality of being an entrepreneur.
Maybe you're in California, see someone speeding down the road in a convertible Porsche, and you think, oh man, what a lucky bastard. And the truth of the matter is that he's thinking about wrapping his expensive sports car around the next cement pillar that he comes close to. You can't tell, and people have hard lives, and even people who are comparatively fortunate have hard lives. And the ideal that you're observing that makes you jealous and resentful is in large part an illusion that's created by your own mind. You have to be careful of what you're jealous of because you don't really know what it is. And then the other thing that's kind of useful is to understand you're quite different from other people, and you shouldn't be comparing yourself to them because they're not like you. They don't have your family. They don't have your temperament. They don't have your troubles. They don't have your abilities. The only person that has those is you. One of the rules, I think it's rule 4, is compare yourself to who you were yesterday and not to who someone else is today. And see, that's a game you can win. The possibility that you can make yourself slightly better on a continual basis is I think that's something that's accessible to everyone. I think that's equivalent to leading a virtuous life. And there is something to be said for virtue and truth. You know, and that is one thing. Another thing that I've noticed about people who've been phenomenally successful is that they really do everything they can to live a truthful life. And you can get a bloody long ways by being honest. You got to know that there are differences in intelligence. It's really important. If you go into a job and you're not smart enough for that job, you're going to have one bloody miserable time. And you're going to make life wretched for the people around you because you won't be able to handle the position. But what you really want to do, as far as I can tell, if you want to maximize your chances for both success and let's say well-being, is you want to find a strata of occupation in which you would have an intelligence that would put you in the upper quartile. That's perfect. Then you're a big fish in a small pond. And you don't want to be the stupidest guy in the room. It's a bloody rough place to be. So, and you probably don't want to be the smartest guy in the room either, because what that probably means is you should be in a different room. If you want to be the best at what you're doing, bar none, then having an IQ of above 145 is a necessity, and maybe you're pushing 160 in some situations, and maybe that's making you one person in 10,000 or even one person in 100,000. And then also, to really be good at it, you probably have to be reasonably stress tolerant and also somewhat conscientious. Why is it that smart people are at the top of dominance hierarchies? And the answer to that, in part, is because they get there first, right? I mean, everything's a race, roughly speaking. And the faster you are, the more likely you are to be at the forefront of the pack. And intelligence in large part is speed. That's not all of it is. So if you're moving towards something difficult rapidly, the faster people are going to get there first. You're going to have to put some effort into your life. And you need to be motivated to do that. And so what are the potential sources of motivation? Well, you could think about them in the big five manner. You know, if you're extroverted, you want friends. If you're agreeable, you want an intimate relationship. If you're disagreeable, you want to win competitions. If you're open, you want to engage in creative activity. If you're high in neuroticism, you want security. Okay, so those are all sources of potential motivation that you could draw on, that you could tailor to your own, your own personality. But then there are dimensions that you want to consider your life across. And so we ask people about, well, if you could have your life the way you wanted it in 3 to 5 years, if you were taking care of yourself properly, what would you want from your friendships? What would you want from your intimate relationship? How would you like to structure your family? What do you want for your career? Well, how are you going to use your time outside of your job? And how are you going to regulate your mental and physical health, and maybe also your drug and alcohol use, because that's a good place to auger down. And that tangles in your incentive reward system. We talked about the dopaminergic incentive reward system, and that's the thing that keeps you moving forward. And the way it works is that it works better if it produces positive emotion when it can see you moving towards a valued goal. Okay, well, what's the implication of that? Better have a valued goal, because otherwise you can't get any positive motivation.